It's Married to Medicine recap, season 9, episode 4. Hey, welcome back to Voices of Reality. We are back. Thank you very much for subscribing. We see the subscribers coming in. We appreciate you. Keep them coming. Keep the likes coming. Keep the love coming. Okay. So let's jump right into it and unpack this episode.
I want to start by saying I like this episode. It was good. It was a good episode.
Was. People started showing their asses last night.
So it started off with the ambush of Heavenly.
Yes, the continuation
of the ambush and Heavenly storming off. And Quad and Simone going at it. Screaming. Like, I can't take Simone's voice. Like, she really screams on top of her lungs. I'm like, how does this woman not lose her voice? Like, every season she has like a screaming match.
I get it because I'm that way too. And because it's like once you get like your emotions start rising, I can't help it too. I try a lot of times like to work on like talking in a monotone voice, but I don't know. I get like that too. And I even give myself a headache. Like it's bad like that. I'm worse than Simone probably.
Worse. The woman is screaming on top of her lungs. It was so funny because in the confessional they showed Toya and she was like, they're arguing about the same thing. And Quad was getting loud. She was getting loud. I was like, oh Lord.
Well, you said Simone, you mean Contessa.
No, Simone and Quad.
Oh, okay, yes. I thought you was talking. I thought you got to the other scene when they was outside of the movie theater.
No, I mean Contessa being that upset and loud, I get it, the anger. But Simone was like carrying on and screaming on top of her lungs. But it was funny when she was like, "This is America." I was like,
yes. I know, and it broke the ice and it made them all start laughing. So I did appreciate that part.
Yeah. So then Heavenly goes and runs off to the what was it, the driveway, and Contessa went to her room and Jackie went after Heavenly to kind of talk to her. I like that about Jackie. Like, she's the mediator, the one with some sense. So I thought it was nice that she went after Heavenly, and I was kind of surprised that Quad didn't, considering her and Heavenly are really close friends.
Well, I guess I was waiting for one of them to go out there, and I guess it was Jackie. But if Jackie went, I probably would have tried to simmer this situation down, and then I probably would have got to that. So I don't know what it was, what Quad's like reasoning was. Like, why was she delayed and going outside?
I think her reason for delaying to go outside, and not even delaying, she didn't go outside at all, was because she understood why Contessa was mad, because she too was mad at Heavenly, because Heavenly was talking about her sleep with married men. So you remember Quad was like, I understand why they're mad at Heavenly, but she didn't like the way they ambushed her. That was Quad's issue. Wasn't that they were mad at Heavenly? She didn't like the fact that they ambushed her, because she was like, when she had an issue with Heavenly, she called on the phone, cursed her out, and there was a situation on social media where she felt Heavenly was saying something bad at her, about her. So I understand what Quad is saying, because she's like, look, if you have a problem with Heavenly, handle it one-on-one, but you guys just basically ganged up on her. So I think that's why she didn't go outside, because she felt like, I understand why they're upset, because I too was upset. I just don't like the fact that you guys ambushed her.
I agree with that. I wouldn't like that either if somebody did it to me that is ineffective. And obviously, like, Heavenly didn't get it. Like, what do you think about her reaction?
Heavenly's reaction, I think, is valid. One, because she felt her and Contessa were friends. If I'm friends with someone and I doing something that I don't think is that bad, and you hold on to it and don't say anything to me, and just you stop talking to me, and all of a sudden you invite me to your house, and I'm thinking, oh, things are still somewhat cool with us. And I go in there and you have two friends that I don't really like. I probably told you shit about them that I don't like. And you basically teamed up with them and ambushed me. So I understand why she's upset. Like, she kept saying, you really decide to team up with Toya, who you had issues with in the past. Simone, who, I don't really get along with, to ambush me, but we're cool. You could have talked to me on the phone about this. Or even if you wanted to make this a storyline or a scene, you could have done a one-on-one with us, but not even include the two people I don't like. I think if Contessa included maybe Quad and her to confront Heavenly, she wouldn't feel that bad, but it's because you teamed up with two people I don't like.
I don't know. I still think she was being like, not validating Contessa's feelings. I still don't think it would have made a difference, even if they did speak one-on-one. Because it was easy for her to say, like, if that had been me, and fine, I would take that. Like, listen, let's go in another room and talk it out. And they did. They left the room. But I guess I don't know if Heavenly was still upset about the way it happened. And she still, but even today, like, she still kind of is holding on to, yeah, she talked about it. I don't see nothing wrong because she wasn't mad in the beginning. She got mad later on. Like, she's still unapologetic about it. So I really don't think it would have made a difference because she still was holding on to, like, not apologizing to Contessa. Like, so I still don't think that Heavenly took accountability for anything. And then she was laughing in the beginning. Like, it was weird. And I said it in the last episode, and it's so funny when Dr. Simone said the same thing. Like, she had like this psychotic laugh that was like weird. Yeah. And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that made it worse. Like, she should have been mad from the beginning, and I guess she was. Maybe, like, I guess, everybody's initial reaction can be kind of weird, embarrassed, like, mad in a way, and she didn't show it. But I just still don't like her responses. Even today when she does her podcast, speaking of Heavenly, like, she still doesn't acknowledge that she was wrong.
She does acknowledge that she was wrong, correct. But she does acknowledge that, I shouldn't have spoken about Contessa's business. She sees that was wrong for speaking about Contessa's business, but she's not taking anything back that what she said. What she says in her podcast is that, I apologize. I should not have spoken about Contessa's marriage. However, the stuff I said, I still stand by. So I think what Contessa's looking from Heavenly is apology of talk about my marriage and apologize for the things that you said. Heavenly is not apologizing for the thing that she said because she feels those were things that she was getting from what Contessa was already saying on the show. So she's not apologizing totally about everything.
I just think it's so messed up because I don't know, but I don't feel like I feel like Contessa's more so mad that she brought it to YouTube and kind of judged her with that information, answering questions, like giving her opinion about things, like going 10 toes down with, her husband is abusive, this, that, like just saying way too much and then like assessing it. Like, I just think that's what Contessa's more mad at as opposed to her giving her opinion. Like, come on, she could have gave her opinion to her on, behind closed doors. I just can't see Contessa being mad. Mm-hmm. What'd you say?
Well, she probably did too.
Yeah, she probably did. And I'm sure Contessa's not mad about that. I just think it has to do with YouTube. And it shouldn't be a however. There shouldn't be a but. If I'm hurting, like, make it right. I don't want to hear a but. I don't want to hear however. I don't want to hear nothing. All I want to hear is that you're sorry and it's not going to happen again. Because what's wrong is wrong. And if how I feel was wrong, my feelings are valid. Like, what is the problem? Like, if we're friends, like, suck it up. Humble yourself. Like, we getting too old for this.
Kevin's way too old for that. But I mean, her being so upset, I think also was like an ambush. And the fact that Contessa didn't tell her she was upset for months. And now the show is airing. And now all of a sudden you're upset and want to come at me and ambush me. If I was in the Heavenly situation, I think initially I would have been upset. Like, really, you're doing this now on TV? But I see why Contessa's like, oh, I'm doing it on TV because this is how you presented it on your YouTube. I think if I was Heavenly initially, I would be upset. Like, really, you didn't call me and tell me you felt this way about my YouTube. I wouldn't have done it in the first place. That's what. But if I did do something like that, I initially would have been upset with her because I'm like, we could have handled this off camera. You want to bring this on camera. But I think once I sat down and really thought about it, I would have approached her and apologized. But initially being ambushed like that, I would have been upset too.
I would have been upset to be ambushed, but that's still separate from, like, she still didn't give a proper apology in my book. Like, even though, okay, you ambushed, let's get past this. Okay, I would probably say sorry for the ambush, whatever. I will probably say sorry for the ambush because I wanted to get off of that. Like, now I feel like Heavenly is now going to use that to deflect from the situation. So I probably would just apologize for, okay, I didn't mean, let's talk. the ambush is over. I'm sorry for the ambush. Now let's talk about the YouTube and what you did and how I feel. Let's get to that. But Heavenly still does not really fully acknowledge like what she did. I just hate the way Jackie also within that conversation, she's telling like Contessa that Heavenly talked about her too. And then she's like, but if it's not true, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't hold any weight with me or whatever she said. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, that's your friend. You okay with your friend talking about you online? Like, stop it, Jackie. Or else you just a doormat. Like, you just gonna let your friends talk about you?
Well, when Jackie said that, when she said that, I kind of got, because but the difference with Jackie and Heavenly's situation is when Jackie was cheated on by Curtis cheated on Jackie. It was, a very troubling time for Jackie. She was embarrassed, humiliated. Heavenly didn't go and talk about that time. She didn't, when they were working throughout their marriage and stuff like that, and Curtis was cheating on Jackie, Heavenly didn't do what she did to Contessa, to Jackie. She made jokes here and there in her YouTube channel about Curtis or maybe having cheated on Jackie, whatever, but it wasn't to me on this level. Because she's talking about Contessa's marriage while she's battling through it. By now, Jackie and Curtis are good. They're in counseling. She's past that. She's moved on from him cheating. She's forgave him. They're in a good place. Contessa is not in a good place with her husband. They're still trying to work things out. There's still a lot of issues that they have. And now I feel like on the show, they may be covering up a little bit more because they saw how bad it looked the last time on TV. So you're talking about me where I'm in a dark place in my marriage, when I'm already indecisive on whether or not I want to get a divorce from this man. People on social media is coming at me talking about, oh, I'm this, I'm that. I don't know if my husband's cheating. I'm embarrassed. He had a woman in his DMs. He's this and that. And here you are adding on to it. So I think that's why Jackie is like, you know what? Yeah, she talked about me, but I don't care, because Heavenly did mention something about Jackie's podcast, but at that time, Jackie was good with her husband. So I was like, whatever. I'm good with Curtis. I'm happy. Everybody know he cheated on me. Everybody know I'm over it. I'm in a good place. Contessa's not in a good place with her husband. I still don't think she's in that much of a great place with her husband right now.
And that's even more of a reason why Jackie needs to shut up, mind your business. Don't tell me how to feel. Next, I'm done with you. You're not going to tell me how to feel because you felt a different way. I hate when people do that. Oh, I didn't feel like that. Yeah, that's you. I'm different. Yeah. And like you said, it was a different situation. It wasn't, she didn't apply that much like hurt and, pain and stuff like that to Jackie. So Jackie needs to mind her business and let me handle my feelings with Heavenly.
So do you think Contessa is using this for storyline? Because on social media, this is a storyline. Yeah. And Heavenly thinks she's adding, she's making this a storyline. Well, yeah, she is.
Well, I think that she probably thought about it. Like, I think she was upset because apparently they stopped speaking while the show was off air. Like, Contessa did stop speaking to her.
Correct.
So it wasn't like it was planned, like, okay, the show is starting, bam, let me stop speaking to her and then approach her with an issue. They had already stopped speaking, like, before the show started. So maybe, I don't want to fix it. I'm gonna wait to fix this. I don't think that takes away from her being hurt about it. Like, I don't know if but then I guess Heavenly's saying that she was okay during the time. But then she might not have. Heavenly doesn't even know for sure if she heard the YouTubes at that same time. Like, who knows when Contessa heard the YouTubes? You may not get to that until later. Contessa has she's battling her marriage. She's a doctor. Her husband's a doctor. Like, they got things going on in their household. So I don't know when Contessa did hear the YouTubes. Was it during the same time that she was good with Heavenly? Or did she find out about it afterwards and get mad? And then the show is starting. But I do think she probably did time it up, but I don't think that takes away from her pain.
I don't think so. And I think that's smart of her doing it that way. Like,
exactly.
I don't want to focus so much on my marriage this season. Because if you really think about it, if it's not this Heavenly and Contessa beef, that is the show right now. That's the hot topic that's going on. Nothing really else is going on but Contessa and Heavenly being mad at each other. Right now, anyway. So if I was Contessa and I wanted to kind of like have my marriage be the focal point of my storyline, because right now no one's really caring about her and Scott. Everything's about her being mad at Heavenly. I would too hold out. Like, you know what? I'm not going to say nothing to her right now. I'm going to hold out, blow her spot on national TV, let people see my pain and be Team Contessa, because a lot of people's more Team Contessa than Team Heavenly, and build that as my storyline. Me and Heavenly going back at it, because she knows Heavenly's going to go back at it. And I don't have to focus about my relationship with Scott, because every scene now with Contessa is talking about Heavenly. She's not talking about her husband and how they're struggling and whatever else is going on. So I think that was smart of her, because one, it kept her valid and being back on the show. Two, no one's really talking about her and Scott. Everyone's talking about her and Heavenly.
Yeah. But I do think her and Scott are in a better place because of therapy. I think he agreed to do therapy, and I think he's being receptive to it because she did give him an ultimatum. So I do believe that did help them out, and they did get over a hump. So I'm sure they're continuing from based on Watch What Happens Live. They still continuing with therapy. So hopefully it is not just for show and they just put it on the background and they still struggling. They seem like they did get over some of the struggles.
Yeah, even in this season, they seemed a little bit happier. They're working together. It seems like they're in a better place communicating than they were in last season.
Definitely. Smiling more, joking more. I do see a difference.
Me too. So the next scene they showed was Simone and Toya, with Toya going into Simone's office and basically talking about the ambush. And I mean, Simone feels that Quad and Anila and Jackie are kissing Heavenly's ass.
I do believe so.
You think they kissing
You don't
her
think
ass?
so?
Quad don't look like she's gonna be kissing Heavenly's ass. I don't think so. I don't think Anila maybe. I don't think Quad is kissing Heavenly's ass, because again, she did say she agrees with what they are saying about Heavenly. She confronted Heavenly off camera. I mean, recently Heavenly mentioned that Quad called her the other day and cursed her out based on the scene we'll talk later on about of her comments she made about Quad with married men. So I don't think she kisses Heavenly's ass. I think Anila might, and I don't think Jackie kisses her ass. I think Jackie tries to stay neutral amongst the group. So when anything happens, and I think with Jackie, what she does is she may correct Heavenly off camera more so on camera. I think with Jackie, she's so worried about her image. I'm a doctor. I can't say this. I can't do this. Her image. But I don't think she kisses Heavenly's ass. I've seen her pull, like if Beverly's doing something, she'll be like, Heavenly, stop. You're going a little too far. I don't think she kisses her ass.
I feel like she does let a lot of stuff slide with Heavenly in the way, like I said, I got a bad taste in my mouth from Dr. Jackie based on that Buffy situation. I did not, and I tried to put that clip in our last episode, but because of copyright infringement, it kept like denying the clip, and I was so mad just so you can see like how much of a bitch Jackie can be. Like I didn't like it, and then for her not to take accountability, like I don't see that anywhere else. And the way Heavenly is acting toward these women and doing certain things, like you going on YouTube, like why isn't Jackie pulling her aside? And the same thing with Simone. Like Simone and Jackie they work together, like they go to lunch together, like they study together. Like that's your home girl, like your true home girl. I feel more so than Heavenly. So I just feel like Jackie is letting so much slide that she's not letting slide with Simone, with, like I said, the situation with Buffy. Like she let little things get in between their friendship and relationship or potential for relationship, like with Buffy. But with Simone, they stopped speaking. But look at the way Heavenly is acting. Like you mean to tell me anything, all the stuff that Heavenly is doing, Jackie's never stopped speaking to her, doesn't have a problem. She's not, being a bitch to her like she has to Simone, to Buffy, and to everyone else. I just feel like for whatever reason, Jackie seems to give her a pass, like very passively. Like she doesn't, like, she might say a little something here and there, but I feel like she's not hardcore. Like I saw her with Buffy, and like we've seen her with Simone. I don't like it. Like it's something that I wouldn't like it either if I was in Simone's position. I would probably stop speaking to her too had I been Simone, and I see the way she's acting toward me and the way she's acting toward Heavenly. I wouldn't like it either.
Well, one factor could be that they're like I think they do like this investment plan. I don't know if they're in business together, but Heavenly's always saying
Yeah.
her and Jackie are doing investments and stuff. So she probably like, look, I don't want to mess up this, this friendship I have with Heavenly because it seems like they do investment businesses together, or feed off each other or give each other business ideas, whatever the case is. So maybe that's why she doesn't want to jeopardize her friendship with Jackie. But I think Heavenly really respects Jackie. So I think even if Jackie were to really go at her, I don't see Heavenly coming out of her I don't see Heavenly really being rude or disrespectful to
Yeah,
Jackie.
that's true too. I do think Heavenly treads lightly with her too.
Yeah, and from what I hear, like Jackie's the most paid on the show. She's like the queen bee for this Bravo thing. So I think, and Heavenly likes being Jackie's friend because of Jackie's mindset. She has a business, she has a lot of money, she knows she's very educated. So there's a lot of things she feels like, oh, I need Jackie on my side with. But as far as Jackie, she could be one of those people that feel like, well, this is not my problem. She ain't talking about me. She talking about you. I don't need to really be involved. Some people are like that. Like, okay, I'm cool with this, my friend. She's have issues with you. That don't mean I want to stop being her friend. You guys deal with it. I don't want to be involved. Like, I don't want to.
I mean, that's true too, but I just feel like if you're real friends, like you would still like kind of like check them and say something like, listen, I did feel that, like I would still give my, like, I'm still gonna, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. I would still give my opinion as my friend, especially if they're both my friends. Like there's no way I'm not gonna speak up if you did my friend wrong, even if me and you are friends. If you did my friend wrong, I'm gonna speak up about it. Because at the end of the day, y'all both my friends, and I still would speak up. But I get, like you said, with the whole Heavenly and the Jackie situation, I do, because when I was trying to put that clip up of Jackie being a bitch to Buffy, I did Heavenly was in that clip, and she did, in that moment of Jackie being a bitch to Buffy, the one thing that did resonate with me with Heavenly is she said Jackie never means anything when she gets upset. And she was like, she's like my husband, Damon. She was like, and that's the most respect I can give anyone. And she loved Daddy. So, and she compared Jackie basically saying that they're one and the same, like they have such a good heart. So like you said, I can see like she puts Jackie on this pedestal, so that it means a lot when she compared Jackie to her husband.
Yeah, and for her to compare Jackie to Daddy, like she don't think anybody's better than Damon.
Okay.
So I think with Jackie, I mean, I like Jackie. I haven't felt like, oh, I don't like her. So we'll just keep watching and see how involved. But Heavenly does say in her podcast that when she says certain things, Jackie calls off camera. That's why I feel like there was one podcast she was doing and Heavenly was going off, I think about Toy or something. And she was like, oh, here goes Jackie calling me now. She's probably calling me to tell me to stop talking. Check, oh, I got to go. Jackie keeps calling me. Excuse me. So I think Jackie does talk to Heavenly, but off camera. So, sorry. Let me drink my water. So I think Jackie does say certain things to Heavenly, but maybe not on camera.
Okay, that could be true. Yeah, I can see that.
While they had Toya and Simone talking, they showed Heavenly and Anila talking about the ambush again, and how Heavenly said she wished that Contessa had called her instead of the ambush.
I think I do agree with Heavenly on that part. I still don't think it would have made a difference, but because like she wants to like double down on that and deflect, that would be my fault that I would have to eat that. Like it's like, okay, I did probably approach the situation wrong, and now she's going to run with this and deflect from my feelings. Now she got something else to run with and say that this is my fault. So I would be like, damn, that was my bad. Like I would, and if I was Contessa, I would apologize for that. Like, I don't know. So I do think it is a little bit more of the dramatics for TV, because I probably would have spoken to her one-on-one without like called her up. But I think if she would call her up, they probably would settle it like right then and there. But because she's ambushing her and like bringing in the other ladies, still not speaking to her, it's dragging on more than it needs to be.
To me, I think it's TV friendship. That's not to some extent, because if that was a friend that I truly loved or felt that was a really close friend of mine, whatever beef we had, I wouldn't want to do it on national TV. So if I was contestant, I really valued Heavenly's friendship. I wanted to remain friends with Heavenly. I wanted to talk it out and let her know how I felt. I would have, once I've heard about this YouTube stuff, I would have come like, really, Heavenly? Look, this really hurts my feelings. I really don't like what you're saying. Can you stop talking about me and my husband's relationship? Hear what she says. If she's like, look, I'm still doing this because I need to get my viewership, my subscribers up, that would be the end of friendship. But I understand what Heavenly's saying. You didn't call me. The contestant did not call Heavenly at all about the YouTube. Months. Heavenly kept saying she don't even know why contestant was upset. She kept saying that she thought, and this was again on her YouTube thing, she thought contestant was upset with her because of the last conversation she had. Heavenly said to Contessa, if you don't want people to talk about your husband, you need negativity about your husband, you need to stop talking about him. But Contessa didn't mention to Heavenly that she was upset about the YouTube channel. She didn't mention anything about the YouTube channel.
But she just stopped. A lot of people do. I can say that, like, I've had a friend like that I talk about, that me and her stopped speaking. A lot of people are not confrontational like that. Like with me, and I'm older now. Like, you learn, like, as you get older, you having friendships, you having problems, you're getting over the problems. I do think it is a learning process. So to know, like, how to communicate, that's the biggest problem relationships have, whether it's friendship, whether it's, husband and wife. Like, a lot of times it's the main culprit is communication. And I think a lot of people lack communication skills. And I think this is another reason. And I know, like, just from like Contessa not confronting her, a lot of people are better with avoiding rather than confronting, rather than saying this
ambush.
I mean, I do think that part was for TV. No, but I do think she held on to it. And then she, like, thought about, like, listen, I don't know if I'm not, like, that would give me more, like, put the battery in my back if we on TV, like, rather, because a lot of people do avoid it. But if I'm on TV, I got an audience, I got these people coming over, they down with it. She did all these other people wrong. I got a team of people she did wrong. That would put the battery in my back. It's not just me alone. And like I said, people have a problem with communication and confronting people, but they'll do it with a team or a gang. Yeah. They'll do it when you got backup and you want to jump somebody. That's when they become, like, all of a sudden, like Goliath. So I do believe that, maybe Contessa didn't want to, communicate with her, and she didn't feel like, it's better to avoid the situation.
And having is confrontational. So Contessa know, regardless if you spoke to over the phone, whatever, Heavenly don't take crap. So although it was Contessa stuff, Contessa, to me, she kind of felt like, I needed people to back me up. Like, I don't think she felt she could have gone against Heavenly on her own, because why drag Simone and Toya into it? You could have invited Heavenly to your house by yourself, played her video of all the stuff she said about your husband, and confronted her there. But you felt like, I needed to bring everybody and ambush her.
I do think that gives people a lot more, like, that battery to do it. Yeah. It gives them more energy and confidence to confront people. And I just think also is, Contessa got kids. Contessa is a doctor. Contessa's fighting to save her marriage. Like, if me and my friends stop speaking for a little bit, my kids, my family, saving my marriage would be my number one priority. I'm gonna get to that when I get to it. Maybe she didn't feel like dealing with Heavenly and her BS. And so I remember, like, when my cousin got mad at me one time, and she's like wanting to have a discussion about something. I didn't show up to a birthday party. I said, girl, I got tenants not paying me rent. I'm taking them to eviction. I'm trying to evict them. I've got things going on in my life, like major things where I'm fighting people in court. I don't got time to be dealing with your nonsense. I don't even want to talk about it with you. Just stay mad, and I'll get back around to you at another time. So I think that's what, Contessa could have been dealing with. I got time to deal with Heavenly and her BS when my marriage is in shambles.
But with the conversation with Heavenly and Anila, Heavenly went on to talk about Quad sleeping with married men, and she kind of implied that it was not gossip but somewhat factual, because they kind of like bleeped the person's name. But when she first said that, I was like, Quad sleep with married men. But if you were a viewer like myself from season 1, you remember Mariah had said on the reunion a few seasons back that Quad slept with her sister's husband.
Yes.
And sister was on the show, and they both said they walked in and saw Quad on a t-shirt, whatever, and Quad was extremely upset about it. So I'm wondering if that's the same rumor they're talking about, but they bleeped the person's name. So I'm wondering if they're talking about the same rumor that Mariah was saying. Was this some new rumor? I don't know. But again, Quad, after seeing that scene on Sunday, was very upset with Heavenly. Even though Heavenly apologized on the episode, Quad is now seeing the scene and called Heavenly and cursed her out.
Yeah, because Heavenly, once again, didn't want to take ownership of it. You remember she denied it in the show that she said anything, but I guess she didn't realize that the mics picked her up, because she said it too on her podcast that I didn't say that. They put somebody else's voice in my voice. Like, she actually said that, like that it wasn't her voice that said that. So again, another reason Quad is probably gonna let it slide again. Another foul that Heavenly is doing, that she's letting slide. Like, this is the ultimate like disrespect, to say I'm sleeping with married men. And not only that, it was already a rumor that you're giving energy to. Like, I would be so upset.
But Quad has said in the confession, she looked dead in the camera, that if Heavenly continues talking to her, that'll be the end of their friendship.
Okay, well, this should be the end, but it don't sound like it is. Because the way Heavenly was saying it on the podcast, it was like, yeah, she cursed me out. She probably gonna curse me out again. Like, it just seemed to be playful. Like, like, I don't think Quad was really like, she probably cursed her out, hung up the phone. They're gonna speak again tomorrow, go to lunch.
Yeah, so that was, I mean, she said it and it was kind of like, oh, really? But again, I wonder if it's the same rumor from back when Mariah mentioned, or is there new rumors? I don't think Quad is asleep. I mean, I don't know the girl. I don't know.
It felt like it was a new rumor to me, because it was like, yeah, she's telling everybody. Like, it just seemed like it was something that was now happening. Yeah. It didn't seem like it was from a long time ago. It just sounded like it was, I don't know, it sounded present. Like she was speaking in the present.
I mean, I don't know Quad personally, but I don't think being in the spotlight that she'll risk sleeping with a married man. But then again, who knows? I don't know.
And brag about it and have people knowing, like, I don't know. Maybe she was talking about somebody else, because when she said, it sounded like somebody was telling people. Like, I don't know if it was Quad, the mistress, the husband. I mean, the husband, the cheating husband. Like, who was telling people?
Yeah, like, they believed the person's name.
Yeah, and I was trying to rewind it to see, like, what is being said about this married person that Quad is supposedly sleeping with, and who's telling it. Who's spreading these rumors?
But they bleeped the name, so we don't know. So I thought maybe it was Mariah, and then they didn't want to mention her name, and so I don't know. So that was one. Then the next scene was Anila's daily routine. So what do you think about that?
Up until this point, we'll get to the end, but I was saying to myself, this is the reason Anila needs to go. She is boring. Like, she does not bring nothing to the show. I think they still mentioned this nanny. Oh, yes, they did mention a nanny.
They did.
My God, she can't even take care of the kids. She's struggling. I do not care. First of all, I don't know people around me that have nannies and that can't take care of their kids and is struggling with handling their own kids and is like calling up people because they got to take care of their own kids. Like, did you relate to that?
To some extent, yes. So people were saying Anila is a bad mother. She can't take care of her kids. Wonder Woman has been privileged. If you start in the beginning taking care of your kids, then you already in a routine. You know what you're doing. You know. But Anila had a nanny. She was privileged from the beginning. So now the nanny drops and leaves. She don't know where to start. She didn't even know how to comfort the child that had the whiny little boy that had the whatever wrong with his foot. So with juggling being a mom, a working mom, because she mentioned she's a blogger, 2 kids, your husband is a full-time doctor. When I saw her routine, I was like, oh my God, I remember that routine. It's not as easy as people think. Like when I looked at her routine, I thought differently of Anila. I'm being honest. I mean, we all go through it. I mean, mothers, we have a tough life raising our kids. Even if you have a husband, but if he's working full-time, it's a routine. It's a job. I get it. But I don't think she's a bad mother, what people are saying. I'm just saying now she's put into a position to be a full-time mother, where before she had a nanny. And it's a lot of work. She's like up 6:45, you're taking care of 2 kids, you do all this stuff. It was a lot. And when I looked, I'm like, oh my God, it is a lot. It is a lot.
And I agree with that. I do. How can I say this?
Yes.
I don't want to hear about that storyline. It's boring.
Yeah, like, I agree. It's
who cares about her not being able to take care of kids? I don't even think mothers want to see that on TV and feel like, oh my God, let me rewind this. Oh my God, Anila is having a hard time with her kids. Let me no, like next, like I want to get to the next scene. Nobody is interested in that. That's all I'm saying. She's boring.
Nobody's interested in it.
Yeah, for them to even showcase that means that her life is like consists of nannies and her blogging. Like, what else are you bringing to the table? Are you, we want to see, her relationship, her husband. Isn't her mother living there? Like, I don't know. I want to see something more that, I can learn from. I need something else.
I mean, I liked her last season more. And then now I think because she's on, do you see her face? Oh, last season compared to this season.
She got work done?
Yeah, her face is swollen. Her lips look swollen. She's like, I'm like, what is Anila doing? Like, if you look at her, she looks different. Her face
she does. I can't. I gotta be looking at these people's faces more. Because you know what it is? I think I'm listening to it, but I'm always distracted looking at stuff, but I'm still like, I'm multitasking every time I'm watching these shows.
No. I mean, when the last episode, when they were talking about Botox or quad head fills and Botox, and he was like, oh, I get Botox and fills. Her face is so full. Her lips is full. Her face, to me, she needs to go. Like, I liked her when she first started last season, but her face now, and compared to last season, you could tell she did a lot of work to her face.
Really? I would think her culture, doesn't, agree with that. Like,
she
I don't know.
Has a lot of insecurities about her look. And she mentioned that being where she was raised, she was always different. When she first came, she was talking about her daughter and her daughter having a darker complexion. She had to get used to a lot of self-love. She had to get to love herself. I guess where she was, her upbringings, but overall, too much Botox and fillers and everything else. But again, hopefully they don't show it anymore. Who cares if you don't have a nanny? Move on. No one really cares. No one really cares. So the next scene was Dr. Heavenly and her husband. And when the scene started, why is Heavenly's voice all of a sudden different? Daddy, you know how she was talking to him? Her voice. Yeah. I was like, what the hell?
And did she talk about why she called him daddy, or did I look at another episode? Didn't she get into I call him daddy, but nobody else, or I don't know if I'm getting confused, but I don't know. To me, I just think it's weird when somebody really, I get it. When you in the bed, call him daddy, but to really keep calling him daddy, throughout, all day, every day, I just think it's weird.
It's, to me, daddy, because I be calling my boo daddy, but it... It's not, and we don't even have kids together. Like, sometimes people do it because it's a way for your kids to start calling their dad daddy.
I get that part. No, but not when they're little.
But it's excessive with her daddy. Like, I don't think she's ever said his name is daddy. He called Buddy. Ew, Buddy. I don't like the Buddy one either. I don't know.
I definitely don't like Buddy, and I definitely don't like Daddy. I wouldn't be calling my man Daddy outside in front of my family, in front of my friend, Daddy. To me, it just is. It's like incestual. Yeah, it's
a little twisty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It reminds me of my daddy, my real daddy that I call daddy. I don't just.
I'm under the impression her dad wasn't in her life.
That's what I was gonna say. Maybe that's some kind of correlation there, where I don't know, people that's okay, like with Monique, like people that just is like crazy with the daddy on TV and friends and in front of your family, in front of your mama, like that is just inappropriate.
And in front of your kids, like ew, like your kids probably looking like, well, why you call him daddy? So with her, it's too much. Like if you say once in a while, like a little pet name here and there, like if I say something to my boyfriend, like that, like it's once in a while, but I don't say that's not his name.
And really calling him like that is his pet name, like really calling him that.
It's a little weird, but you know, when you have a great, well, she says a great man, he's a provider, he's a great dad, he's a great husband to you, he's a great friend. He is that father figure for you that you didn't have. But it's a little
that
creepy.
Is two different things. I'm still not gonna be referring to him.
Yeah, it's too creepy. It's way too creepy. It's kind of like a pimp and a hoe. Like, call me daddy.
I think it's even worse. Like you really trying to, like, you might have some kind of incestual and like incest type thing. Like you really looking at him like that is your daddy, like a father figure. Like,
I agree. It's a little creepy to me, but he lets her do it. But it just, to me too, with the daddy and the way her voice changed, like, oh, daddy.
Like a kid. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm like,
like a little girl.
It's kind of all right. That's what I said. I was like, this is a little bit too much with the daddy and the voice. All of a sudden is different.
The little girl voice. Something is wrong. You might need to see some kind of therapist for that. I don't know.
It might be. She might be wearing like little girl costumes in the bedroom.
I was just thinking that. No. And he's like the daddy, like on and popping. I don't know. That is like.
No. And he's not way older than her. Normally, you would think of somebody that's way older. But it to me, it's a little creepy. He's like, buddy. I'm like, ew. Like, I mean, something about Damon, I guess she loves and stuff, but the way he says buddy is like, that is not.
It's not even sexy. It's not even sexy. It's not endearing to me. It's almost like he's calling his homie or something, like, or his pet. Like I call my dog Buddy. It reminds me of he's calling his like German Shepherd or something.
And when did the name calling start? Like, if I'm dating a guy, he'd be like, "Oh, your nickname's Buddy." I'm like, "No." Where did it start that you accepted your man call you Buddy?
Exactly, and you need to give me something a little bit more endearing where I can be feeling a little bit, sexy, mushy, like Buddy. Like, are you like? I guess anything that he says is like she's melting. For him, I don't know. That's love. I guess maybe that's a love I never felt before.
but it's that's another kind of love. It's not like, yeah, buddy. He'd be like, buddy. Like the way he says is like, ew.
Well, he's not the sexiest man, so it could come out. I think no matter how he says it, it's gonna come out like that's so wrong. But
I mean, he gave it. With her squeaky voice and everything.
The little girl voice. Uh-huh. Daddy, the little daughter.
Daddy, like me, daddy, and then I wish me, daddy. Oh, I'm sorry. This was a good laugh.
Yeah, she is. That's inappropriate. Mm-hmm.
But he did give her good advice, like you had to be.
I did too.
You have to, not talk about your friends. So he gave her good advice, but I could not just pass the whole voice thing. That to me, I was laughing through that whole scene. But he's sensible. He seems like he does give her good advice and guidance.
Yeah, and I did, and he said the same thing that I've been saying. It's almost like you can't determine how mad or how not mad I should be. You can't. It's for me to tell you and for you to respect that. End the story. And he said, he basically summed up exactly what I've always said.
Yeah. But again, he didn't say, Heavenly, you're wrong. He said it like in a way like, well.
I think he did.
He did, but he didn't really go at her like, oh, what you did was effed up. Oh, you're wrong. I like the way that he told her she was wrong.
Yeah.
Not kind of like, well, why would you do that? Or
Yeah, not
that's
forcefully where she's in defense mode. I do like, and she respects him so much. I'm sure that did help her semi like take accountability, whatever she, I don't even call it accountability, semi accountability she took.
yeah. So that was the one thing I did like the way he told her she was wrong. So then Simone's Halloween party. It was just weird watching a Halloween party now. I was like, Halloween? This is, like,
I know because it's so, they take that so far in advance and then put it on and edit it like later.
When I see those, like when you watch other housewives, you see Christmas, Thanksgiving, like that makes you realize like all the shit that they're arguing about. Are they still upset about this stuff? It makes you realize how far back.
Yeah, and that and in between they probably made up, and then I mean, but I guess that's why they have the reunion, because a lot of times they don't really, they seeing everything everybody's seeing at the same time we're seeing it. It's just like with Farrah, she didn't know she mentioned that marriage stuff, even though it's older and it probably happened last year. They don't, it's still new to them like it's new to us.
Yeah, and it's kind of like messed up being on a show like that, because let's say I'm cool, because it happens a lot. You're cool with someone, you're having fun with them, you think they're your friend, and then you see something in the confessional a year ago or months ago last year, but you've been chilling them all this time. So it's kind of like, wait a minute, I'm going to her events, I'm going to her trips, I'm chilling in the confessional. This bitch talking about my back. That's when you pull up like, what? We got ourselves in the reunion. So it's like it's rehashing or putting out certain things you didn't know people felt about you, because that's when people really go at each other at in the confessionals.
Yes, and I think, but I mean, it's good because it's not like it leaves it off right there, and they like we don't get to see them address it. I think it's good for them to do it like that and then have the reunion, because then that's when everything gets like put on the table, and then you address it and you either work it out, resolve it, or dissolve the friendship.
I agree, and I always ask myself like, why are you saying these things? Don't you think people's gonna see it? Like, why say certain things in the confessional when you know they're gonna air it and you're gonna have to deal with what you said? Like, why do you do these things? Like, when I see people say certain things in confessionals, I'm like, you know they're gonna see this so-called friend of yours just at their back, but they do it. But it was Simone's holiday party, and I like Simone's costume. She was an old rich bitch. Did you notice they had her costume at first? Like, what the hell is Simone wearing?
Yeah.
So when they said, I was like, okay, that's cute. I mean, I didn't know what the hell she was wearing.
I didn't know either at first, but yeah.
Now, when Eugene and Toy walked in, I don't know what the hell. I when I saw Eugene, I didn't know he was Jay-Z. I thought he was this other person.
Oh my God. I thought he was some kind of like outcast, or I didn't know who. Yeah, I didn't know who he was. I would have never thought Beyonce, Toya, like she could have did better than that with the Beyonce costume. Like she looked nothing like her.
Mood like Beyonce.
I don't even think it was. I didn't see nothing that resembled. Did she even have the wig that resembled? I didn't see nothing that resembled Beyonce.
I think she had Beyonce's. She had like an outfit similar to Beyonce. Beyonce has the clothing line. I don't remember the name of the clothing line.
Ivy Park.
Well, that's what she had. I mean, Eugene had the Jay-Z hair, but I thought he was a singer. There's a singer that has like crazy hair like that. I thought that's who he was. They didn't look like Jay-Z and Beyonce. Like you could really look like Beyonce. You throwing that blonde wig.
That's what I'm saying. She had the potential.
Huh?
She had the potential to look like Beyonce. Eugene, no, I don't think he could look like Jay-Z.
To be Jay-Z, to that fat.
Yeah. He had no choice. He couldn't have been Jay-Z. He couldn't have did nothing.
Yeah, you be her bodyguard, and Toya could have pulled off Beyonce.
Yeah,
with the right team, glam team, she could have pulled Beyonce. But again, it's Simone's birthday party. Like, I'm not spending all that kind of money. Let me get an Ivy Park outfitted. That's it.
Yeah.
So Scott came. What the hell was Scott? Oh, he was like a boxer. He had like a boxer thing on. I don't know what the hell Scott was. I think he was like a boxer. He was on Muhammad Ali.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, he was.
First of all he had was a robe. I was like, where's the gloves? Where's the boxing shorts? Like, what the hell? You just doing a robe? But again, it's Simone's thing. I don't think anybody went out of their way except for Neil and husband. We'll get to that later.
Yes.
But Contessa didn't show up because at first they thought she was out of town, but really she was lied because she was home studying and she didn't want to deal with Heavenly. So that's why she didn't show up. and Anila and her husband shows up as movers for U-Haul.
I was very proud of Anelia finally showing some kind of humor, something to make me laugh. So I was surprised and pleasantly surprised. Like, okay, Anelia and her husband, they both seem boring, but they bring in the energy, the humor. I got it. I like it.
So you thought she did that was good what she did?
I wanted to do that because her and Toya are friends. And
Well, they're
then
not. Remember that was the whole big thing when she was like, Toya, we're not friends. You're not my friend, Toya. When Toya confronted her, she said to Toya, they're not friends.
okay, well, I guess they used to be friends. I thought they resolved it, or they becoming like they seem to still be in each other's presence.
Yeah. So
Okay,
yeah.
but I mean, I get how it's still a sensitive topic. Like, I got financial issues and y'all playing. And then if I'm Eugene, who's so laid back, like, I just feel like I would have to respect my husband and how he feels. Like, I get why Toya's mad. Eugene doesn't get mad. He's mad. Like, I would have a problem with Anelia and her husband if I was Eugene and Toya.
I didn't like what Anila did. I'm not a fan of I'm not saying I'm not a fan of him. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know where I am with Anila. This was a scene I would have maybe liked it more if the husband wasn't involved. Let's say it was a girls' party and you wanted to put Toya on the spot because you don't like her. It's different. What I didn't like was the husband being involved.
Yeah.
That was your bitch ass move. Like, man, that's petty. Like, I can't imagine me calling my boyfriend saying, oh, I don't like Toya. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to get matching outfits. We're going to get it, titled. We're going to buy this. We're going to go pick up a U-Haul, bring it over. Like, it has like a whole big scene. My boyfriend would be like, hell no, I'm not doing that punk move. Like, who does that as a man? Like, after I saw that, I had little to no respect for husband. Like, why would you as a man be involved in women's pettiness? That's petty. That was my issue. Like, if she did it on her own in a different event, let's say it was a women's event, like all the girls and the husbands there, she did that, I'd be like, that was funny. I actually liked Toya in this episode because she stood up for her man. Like, she thought it was funny. Toya looked like she could take a joke. But when Eugene got mad, she's like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
She turned. Because she was laughing at first. But exactly. Eugene did not, like, he was not enthused at all with that.
And I'm 100% with Eugene. First of all, him and Anila's boyfriend never had any issues. Anila and Toya have issues. They were cool. So if you and I never had any issues and the women have their beef, but we're able to hang out and be like, look, that's women's stuff. As long as they're not physically attacking each other, let them argue. But me and you, we could be cordial. We're still cool. Yeah. Why are you part of this? And why didn't you not stop your wife? Like, nah, chill, because me and Eugene's friends. If you want to do that, do it another time when I'm not around. I'm not trying to be involved. Like, why would you do that when you're cool with Eugene and you're a freaking man? That's my issue. Men shouldn't be involved in women's business. And that's how I feel. I cannot imagine my boyfriend doing something like that. I mean, I may want to do it. He would be like, you doing that? I'm not even going to the party, and I'm not partaking in that. Like, that to me was a bitch ass. You're a bitch ass. And I understand why Eugene's upset because, one, you at a party, you playing him in front of all those people. That moment was all eyes on Eugene and Toya, Beyonce and Jay-Z. And you're making fun of my moves, and Eugene probably knows that financial stuff. You're making fun of
it. Exactly. And that's not something to joke around about.
Yeah, you and I are cordial. So I think Eugene was more upset that he was part of this whole whatever crap they were doing. I think he was more upset with that than anything else, which I agree.
I do too. I do too. And Eugene is so laid back. So if I have a laid back husband who don't really, get involved in anything, who's like, if he gets mad, I'm taking that very seriously, just like Toya did.
Because he was embarrassed. Because again, when all the beef is happening, is between the women. He don't care if Toya gets embarrassed. He's not even around when they argue. Sometimes they are around. They're in a different room doing arguing. But now you are embarrassing me.
Yeah.
It's not just embarrassing my wife. You as a man, you're embarrassing me. You put him in a situation where everyone is looking at me and laughing at me.
Mm-hmm.
So I understood Eugene. Like, thank God you just stuck to his guns. He had some balls and was like, nah, I'm not feeling this at all. So I don't understand why the husband even got involved. But I was watching Heavenly's podcast and she said Eugene did a bitch move too. He had sent Anila a text message.
Oh, yeah.
A DM saying, oh, you can't trust Toya. And no, you can't trust Heavenly and Quad. They're not really your friends. And they found out Eugene sent that text to Anila. So I'm like, well, why the hell is Eugene doing that?
Mm-hmm.
But that still doesn't take away from that. To me, that still doesn't make it right what her husband did. If that was the case, if you're texting my wife, talk about this and whatever, her husband then should have called. Or Anila should have called Toy and be like, yo, why is your husband texting me? Like, what are you doing? Why, But to do that, I have no respect for Anila's husband.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. And that is two separate issues. Like, okay, if Eugene did DM Anila, then that's separate. Like, he can handle that with Anila. Toya needs to check him, check your husband, stay in your place. But as far as like the husbands, that's a whole separate issue. And I would want to deal with that husband. And it goes back to what we've been saying. Like, if I feel hurt as my friend, as having respect, having value in my friendship, respect if it hurt me, I'm telling you it hurt me. Like, don't, however me did, there's no buts. Like, respect how I feel and let's get over this and let me know it's never going to happen again, period.
But I also don't know how he, the husband, would have thought that Eugene would not be upset about this. Like, what man you think is not going to be upset?
I mean, I could see a man just going along with their wife, like doing some dumb shit because their wife, they like, P-whipped or whatever, and they just going by what their wife say. The wife might, have him in the palm of her hands. And men do dumb stuff following after their wife.
Bitches.
Or their girlfriend.
That's bitch
whatever.
Ass.
Okay, whatever.
On.
But that's what I'm saying. He could be one of those who doesn't even think and just went along with it and was like, whatever, let me just be this, like, stupid ass.
Or he wanted to embarrass Eugene.
That's what I'm saying. Either one is still like messed up. And once you recognize like, I always give them credit for being doctors, because I think that is a high level of education. And like you said, maybe common sense is not that common to them, but I still give them some credit for being doctors. Like, you should have some type of sense, like, to know what's wrong. Like, come on now. And to apologize. Like, you're not dumb.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see any of the other husbands doing that except for Cecil. Simone's husband, I can see them doing something like that. For some reason, I can see Simone and Cecil probably doing it, but maybe not to Eugene.
Yeah.
But to me, it was just poor taste. And I would feel like Toya did, stand by my man, but I would really be upset with the husband if I was Eugene. So I was definitely agreeing with Eugene's reaction. I don't think he overreacted.
I don't either. And then they go to the I think at the party, didn't Quad and Heavenly have a talk? Was it at the it was at the party and she apologized to Quad? Which I thought was like weird. You apologizing why? Because everybody ambushed you, and now Quad is the only. And I think she only apologized to Quad because she recognized, based on what Anila told Heavenly, that Quad did stick up for her. Like, even though she was been throwing her under the bus, saying kind of slick stuff about her, Quad still, she didn't take no sides, but she said what was wrong and what's right is right. And she felt that how they ambushed Heavenly was wrong. And I think that's the only reason it hit a soft spot with Heavenly, and she apologized, because Heavenly doesn't apologize like that.
Okay.
And apologizing to Quad, but not to Contessa.
And because Quad also had called her before on the phone to discuss it on the phone. And I understand Quad, because she's like, you and I are cool. So if you're as a friend going around saying I'm still a married man, a lot of people will believe you because they feel like you'll probably have inside information about my life. So I understand why Quad would be upset about that, having since you sleep with married men.
Yeah, it's embarrassing, especially if that's your friend. It would be embarrassing to me.
Yeah, and that's when Quad said the next time Heavenly says something disrespectful, she's going to forego the friendship. And she was looking at dead in the camera.
She definitely did. And it was a little pin, mic drop moment.
Yeah. So with the whole thing now, the scene that she saw with Heavenly and Anila, is she gonna use that as the last disrespectful thing, or she's gonna be like, okay, well, that was something that we already talked about, and moving forward from that scene after the season, if Heavenly does anything, then she'll stop talking to her.
Well, Heavenly's lying. So, when people lie, it's like they will convince themselves. And it seemed like Heavenly can be a pathological liar. Like she really said that wasn't her voice. She said it wasn't her. Yeah, she said it wasn't her. She said on a podcast, I don't know if you heard that part. She was like, that wasn't me. I didn't say that. What are you talking about? No. She's like, that's not what I said. Like, she's not taking responsibility for that.
Oh, no. See, then maybe...
like that. She didn't realize that the editors, I think they thought, or not they, her, I guess the cameras were far away, but I think they'd be forgetting that even though the camera is not like right there in their face, they forget that the mic is picking them up and there's a camera like by the bathroom staring at them. And it looked like that camera was far away, but the mic still picked her up. So I think this was the moment, like she was probably like, oh shit. I think she didn't even know. Like this is another instance where she probably saw it the same time we saw it and didn't know that the mic picked her up. So now what does she have to say for herself? Oh no, it wasn't me. They put another voice there. That wasn't my voice.
She said that? I didn't know she said that.
She said that. Yes, she did.
Well, it sounded like her voice. And the next
that was her.
Were the men and at the axe spot. They were throwing axes. And that's when, again, they talked about the whole situation, Neil and her husband.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know his name was Karen. That's his name? At first, I thought they were just calling him Karen like, for a woman. I think that's his name.
Karen? What's his name? Whose name was Karen?
I think Anila's husband's name is Karen.
It's Karen. Okay.
I keep hearing them say Karen. And I'm like, Karen? Are they saying Karen? Because I'm like, wait a minute. Can he be a Karen? He's Indian. But I didn't know they kept saying Karen.
Maybe that's their last name. Because they be calling them by last name sometimes.
Comment below. What's Anila's husband's name?
Karen. Yeah, I did like the part where it was Cecil was giving advice, basically empathizing with Eugene and saying like that, he needs to take responsibility for how you feel. Like he needs to take accountability. So I did appreciate Cecil's advice because that's always what I say too.
Yeah, and then here comes Karen walking in.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, Karen's bucking up his chest.
I just knew he was going to come in there and apologize. And I was like, okay, now Anila and the husband is going hard to keep their spots on the show. So I was surprised.
I mean, he did apologize. He apologized, but it was like,
that was not an apology. That button, however.
He said, but it was funny. He said, well, Eugene started saying he feels offended. And Anila's husband said, I think he said, did he say sorry? I don't know what he said, but he said, but it was funny. I think he said, I'm sorry you feel that way, whatever. But he said, but it was funny. He should not have added that on there.
That's what I'm saying. That negates everything you said before that. Like it negates the sorry, it negates everything. And I get why Eugene, I don't think Eugene's going to punch him in the face, and I'm not condoning violence, but it cut off after that and Eugene was getting up. So I don't know, but I get how Eugene feels.
But what happened was when he made the comment and says, but it was funny, Eugene said something else. And Karen says, I'll be the dullest motherfucker here. And Eugene was like, call me a motherfucker one more time. I didn't
get that part. What did that mean though? I didn't get what Karen or whatever his name is. What did that mean? I'll be the dullest motherfucker here.
I won't be when they were saying of what he did, he's like, well, I'll be the dullest motherfucker in here. Meaning I won't do any jokes. I won't be myself. Like, to him, this was a big joke. I'm like, this was a joke.
Okay, but he didn't call Eugene a motherfucker. Like,
no, he said that I'll be the dullest motherfucker in here. Like, I'll be the dullest motherfucker in here because you're saying my joke wasn't funny. I won't be making any jokes. I won't be joking around. I won't be doing anything funny. I think that's what he meant.
But then Eugene got pissed, saying, call me. That's what confused me. Call me a motherfucker again. And I'm like, wait, he didn't call you a motherfucker though.
That's why I had to rewind, girl. I had to, and I said, huh? And I rewind again. I said, wait.
That still didn't make sense. But Eugene must have misheard then. He didn't hear it right.
That's what he said. I'll be the dullest motherfucker here. He'd be like, all right, you feeling that way? Because he's like, oh, I thought it was funny. Eugene got upset. He'd be like, all right, then I'll be the dullest motherfucker. He said, I'll be the dullest motherfucker here.
I mean, I'm glad that you translating it. I didn't get what either one of them was going with this. I want them to get back on track. Like, don't be saying no effing, it was funny. But then when they started getting into the motherfucker dullest, they lost me. I was lost.
That's what happened. So I think Eugene was in hype mode. Like, yeah. I'm like, I didn't say you were a motherfucker. So I think next episode they'll probably be like, wait, Eugene, that's not what he said. Calm down. And he might be like, Eugene, that's not what I said. I said, I'll be the dullest motherfucker. Like, Eugene went off. I'm like, what the heck?
He still got a right to go off though when he said, but it was funny. Let's get back to that part, motherfucker. So that's what I would be pissed off about.
That's the part he was pissed off. But when he was going back and forth, in Karen's mind, he's thinking, I'm not saying that was a joke to me, so I can't make any jokes. I can't be funny. So in that case, I'll be the dullest motherfucker in here. And Eugene just heard motherfucker and went off.
Yeah, and he would have been the dullest motherfucker. He's right about that, because that's how I was feeling. Y'all the dullest motherfuckers in here. But I'm glad he's kind of like showing some kind of like aggression a little bit. I like it.
So that's what
hopefully they'll resolve it.
So that's what you're saying, but it was so funny because when I was watching What Happened Lives after, they had Drew and Contessa, and Drew was like, "Oh, I guess those testosterone shots that Toy was giving you."
Yes, because Eugene, that's what I'm saying. Eugene be so laid back, he don't be involved, and now you got him mad. Now the beast is coming out. But like that was funny. I remember that.
That was funny, but. That's what Eugene said. So Eugene, just sit your ass down. But that was the end. I mean, next episode, they kind of focus on them being in Vegas. I don't know if they even showed you, they even showed that scene, but I think they're just going to calm Eugene down. Karen's going to apologize, and it's not, then kind of explain like, I didn't call you motherfucker. This is what I was saying. But overall.
Well, hopefully it comes with a real apology.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he kind of messed up by saying, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
So it all depends on how Eugene wants to take it. There's some people that would not forgive him because you embarrassed me, you bring this up, you did on national TV, and some people would forgive him. It depends on what type of man Eugene is. There's certain things you don't get involved with. Like I said, there's certain things. Like I have my boyfriend be like, oh, I don't like that bitch. Don't be saying hi to her. He's like, well, she say hi, I'll say hi out of courtesy. So you better not talk to her. He's like, I'm not into that petty bullshit. Like if she says hi to me, I'll say hi. So I can't imagine me saying, let's do a stunt.
But some men don't have a backbone like that, and they're not going to. They're going to just follow behind their wife.
Obviously. Now he sees following Anila was going to do. I'm assuming it was Anila's idea. I can't imagine it was his.
Definitely it was her idea. Definitely getting those shirts. You know, a woman does all that petty shit. She getting the shirts made, the names is on it. Yeah. There was a real U-Haul, like reserving a truck. Like, yeah.
Yeah, that was, it was like, funny, but again, maybe if it was like just the girls without a husband, it would have been different. Mm-hmm. Or husband didn't come that night and Anila showed up and did that. Eugene would have felt type way, but I don't know if he would have approached Anila. I don't know. But then again,
Toya would have approached Toya. That would be Toya's business to handle. But now the men's involved. Now Eugene got to handle that with the husband.
Yeah. But Karen didn't look scared of Eugene. He didn't look shook. He was just like, whatever. I think it was still funny.
I know. He was just like, whatever. Like, he just looked like he didn't give a damn how Eugene felt.
I was like, oh, look at Karen stepping up now. Like, oh,
I said the same thing. I was like, okay, now it's showtime for them.
Yeah, let's see if they bring it again. But that was a moment for them.
Yeah.
And for Karen, I was like, oh, okay. So that was it for this episode. It was actually a good episode. I had some good laughs in this.
Yeah, it was good, and I'm looking forward to seeing where Contessa and Heavenly go from here. It doesn't look like nowhere based on Heavenly's YouTube still, so we'll see.
Well, considering it looks like it's gonna get violent, where Contessa's gonna try to beat up Heavenly, but we'll wait and see. That's the rumor.
Do you think so? No, I think the new girl's gonna come on the scene. The new doctor.
Yeah, but there was a rumor that Heavenly said it when Contessa tried to attack her. Contessa's gonna try to attack Heavenly. Heavenly said it on her podcast.
Oh, she did. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that might be the end of her.
She didn't hit Heavenly, but it looked like she wanted to or was about to or whatever.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as she caught herself, but yeah, it looked like there's gonna be a lot to unfold in this season, so we'll see.
Yeah, so thank you for watching Married to Medicine. This was our recap of the episode. Continue to like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also share. Leave comments. We will respond and continue to watch all our other videos. Bye.
See you next time.